Okay, so Genesis chapter 25 starts out with Abraham marrying another wife, who ends up bearing him six more sons. And then it says that Abraham left everything he owned to Isaac, but he still gave gifts to the sons of his concubines, and then sent them away. And then Abraham lived 175 years, and then he died as God said he would, as an old man at an old age, full of years with his people gathered. And then an interesting part I thought was that Isaac and Ishmael buried Abraham together, even though for a lot of their lives they were separated. Especially the fact that, like, Abraham sent away all the sons of his concubines after giving them gifts, and that's what Ishmael technically is. But it leads me to wonder if after Sarah died, if Ishmael was more integrated in their lives after that, because there isn't that jealousy between her and Hagar anymore. I'm not sure. That's just a thought. But after that, then it lists the descendants of Ishmael, who, even though wasn't given the birthright, was guaranteed to have many descendants. And then also it says at the end of that there's always hostility between the brothers. So all of his descendants have, like, hostility towards each other. And I wonder if this is, like, related to the fact that Ishmael was technically the firstborn, but he was only given, he wasn't given the birthright or the, like, inheritance. He was only given gifts as the son of a concubine. Or maybe he wasn't even given gifts. Maybe it was just the promise of descendants. So I think it's interesting that there's, like, hostility between his descendants. And then after that, Isaac marries Rebecca, who obviously becomes pregnant with Jacob and Esau, who are fighting from even within the womb. And obviously there's, like, tension between the two. Esau ends up giving up his birthright because he hated it. He didn't think it was worth anything to him. He gives it to Jacob. And I think there's an interesting comparison between Ishmael and Esau in the sense that Esau was the firstborn but gave away his birthright because he didn't want it, and Ishmael was technically born first but wasn't given the birthright. So it's like you're following the direct line of Jesus through this, and all through it there's hostility. The people who are given the birthrights are favored or obviously loved by God, while the others just end up hating that person. And I think it's kind of a reflection of how later the world ends up hating Jesus. Him claiming to be the Son of God. And then, like, the last thing I found interesting is the fact that Esau, like, it's known that he was, like, red and hairy. And in my cheater notes, it says, like, the stew that he was... Oh, I guess it says here, too. That the stew is, like, made of red beans. So I don't know if that has any meaning or anything, but he was red, and he sold his birthright for red bean soup. Or stew. So, the next person I nominate is Brett for 26.